What's going on, guys? Chuck and
Chris
here, and we just, well, actually, we got an eating, but we went tonight to the Art Craft to see Flash Gordon. For me, the billionth and one first time. For Chris, the first real time he's ever watched it.
First real time. Like hearing this song.
And here at the Art Craft Franklin, this is, of course, Eclipse weekend. The Friday before the eclipse is coming Monday, and they were having a big film festival. We're showing a bunch of, space eclipse type movies or something to deal with it, whether directly, indirectly, or completely vaguely. I don't know. But, the Friday night they were showing Flash Gordon. I thought this was a great opportunity because I don't know if I've mentioned it here before. I may have. I don't know. But this is a very important movie for me. It's one of my all-time favorite movies, and it's because it's the only film that my dad, your grandfather, obviously, ever took me to see. When I was 5 years old, I remember he took me a whole day out. We went and got lunch. I remember I got a little die-cast Millennium Falcon. It was really cool. And we went and saw this movie. And it's, as a kid, I thought it was awesome. It was great. I had no idea, knowing anything about it being, campy or silly until you get older and realize these things, But to this day, I still love this movie. And this is a great opportunity for me to get a chance to kind of pass it down and take Chris to go see it on the big screen. Of course, he's not 5. He's like,
No, if I'm 5, I want to be in frame right here.
He's barely in a frame now. So this was awesome for me. And so we got to see our Art Craft, and it was a 35 millimeter print, and it was a beautiful print compared to some of the, like when we saw Star Trek 2, it was a little beat up, scratched up, and a lot of splice scenes. This actually was pretty good, which tells you, what film was getting rented more, Star Trek 2 or Flash Gordon. Anyways, so, Chris, your initial thoughts, finally sitting down. I mean, you're somewhat familiar with Flash Gordon. You've seen the poster. You've heard the Queen soundtrack.
One too many times.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on actually the movie itself?
I will say I have somewhat remembered some bits of some parts, but actually seeing a full, all the way through without really missing anything.
Except for that chunky one to the bathroom.
It was a little bit. I was a lot more into it than I thought it would be.
Okay. What do you think of it as far as, what's it?
Amazing.
Amazing, that's awesome.
I don't care about the graphics, it just has good storytelling.
You liked it? Okay, well, let's go. Because, that's the whole thing is, it's fun. I mean, it does, I don't think it takes itself seriously. They know that going in, but it's just a fun movie overall. I mean, it's a little silly, it's a little goofy, but, again, it's fun. It's not Star Wars by any stretch of imagination. I think that, the irony is that George Lucas wanted to do Flash Gordon before he was able to do Star Wars, but he couldn't. So he said, "Well, I'll do my own thing," and and Dio De Laurentiis said, "Well, he make a Star Wars, I'll make a Flash Gordon," because he's Italian. And I've insulted every Italian in the world. I apologize. And this is what we got. Of course, it came out in 1980, so it came out the same year as The Empire Strikes Back. That's a tough act to precede or follow. I'm not sure where it came out schedule wise, but like I said, it's just fun. Everything in it, it's flashy, it's colorful, it's just it's got a great James Bond connection. You got Timothy Dalton, who was James Bond. You have Max von Sydow, who played Ming, right, who was Blofeld in the Never Say Never Again, the alternate James Bond film. And then you've got Topol, who played Dr. Zarkov. He was in For Your Eyes Only. So, there's that. And of course, what are thoughts you have about the film? I'm talking a lot here.
I like it. You should like it too. That sounds so you should like it too. Yes. You must like it.
Anything stick out, that really grab your attention? Without doing drugs, because it is pretty psychedelic.
Most of the tree stuff, I don't exactly know what it was.
The Arborea.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw you a little on the edge. You're a little tense there when they were going to the stump there, sticking his hand, waiting for. I saw him. He was kind of like covering his, not waiting for that jump to get him.
Yeah, a little bit.
So, what do you think of Klytus? Remember who Klytus was?
It's like
he was like Ming's right hand guy. That I call him like discount Darth Vader.
Yeah. He's a good character.
He's like one of my favorite. I like because Peter Wingard, who was the actor that played him. I love his voice. He's so mellow, so cool. He's very intimidating, and I just really love that. He's just so smooth, and everything Clytus does is smooth, and I love it. And I also love that especially in seeing on a big screen, you really see his eyes behind the mask and the makeup, and it just kind of really gives him a little more life. Being able to see that, and then you have Max von Sydow, who I told you if you heard me or not, but he was the Exorcist.
Yeah.
He's the actual, plays Father Merrin in the original Exorcist. Which is funny because that movie came out like 72. He looks way older in that movie. Because obviously old age makeup. But he does in Flash Gordon. So what did you think of Ming doing all his hand stuff?
I like the character. The whole movie's good.
I'm actually glad to hear that. And it's, coming from... I love about Chris is that he is completely an unbiased eye. He's not one of the story wasn't this, and there's no character development. There's no, this blah, 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 blah. He's just basically, it's fun. He enjoyed it. He's into it, and that's, so hard to get. So many people are so jaded when it comes to, a movie. Especially a movie as old as Flash Gordon. You're going to get a lot of, people who didn't grow up with it, like myself, who have, looked through it from a nostalgia point of view, but also remembering it as, I guess it's now as a five-year-old kid, that it was, fun. And again, I also associated with, my one, really good man. Well, I have very few, but memories of my dad. So that's like a major one. That's one of the reasons why this movie is so special to me, because of that. So, I kind of tell you, so again, I'm kind of looking at it, I'm biased, but, here's a kid who's basically, he's heard about Flash, I was like, whatever, like I said, I have, the soundtrack in the car. Every now and then it comes out. It's funny because I have it in here on my USB in the car, all these Queen albums, and at random, and the one track would always play for Flash Gordon. It was like the fight scene in the football fight. That would always pop up constantly every time he's nonstop. So we're going in. I told him, I said, when he comes up, you'll recognize the music immediately. You'll notice. You'll know it. Speaking of which, this was also the first time I heard of Queen when I saw this movie. And again, being 5 years old, what I know about music, nothing. Except thinking, why are they called Queen when they're a bunch of guys? That's what I thought as a kid.
I don't think I've ever asked myself that question. I don't think I've ever actually asked myself that question.
Again, I was 5 years old. What did I know? It was 1980. It was a different time, and I didn't really know much about Queen until years later, and I didn't really get into Queen until this, a few years in the last few years, honestly. But it's a great, it's a perfect match with this movie. I could imagine a simple, normal orchestral soundtrack with this movie, because this movie, with its visuals and how wild, it deserves something as over the top as Queen to be the music for this, and I think it serves it really well. It's a perfect complement to the film. Any other thoughts, words of wisdom?
No.
Funny anecdotes?
No.
Dirty limericks? No, I'm kidding. So you want to talk about what happened when we went to eat?
You can explain that one yourself.
Okay, when we go to the Art Craft, right on the corner is a little restaurant. It's called
Greek Pizzeria.
Greek Pizzeria, or the Tap Room. It's just a little bar pizzeria. It's it's kind of a tradition. We go there, we go to eat pizza, and it's usually they're close to an hour or two before closing. And it's usually pretty quiet. But again, this weekend is crazy because here in Indiana, we're right in major path of this eclipse that's going to come wipe us out on Monday. I tell you, I saw it's kind of like Night of the Comet. That's what it reminds me of. I mean, it's not the same thing, Halley's Comet, eclipse, but everybody's going crazy about this. I'm like, it's something bad's going to happen. We're going to go wipe out. But so we're expecting a lot of tourists. Here, or people come out of towners, and they said that here, Franklin, which is not too 20 minutes from where we live, is they're playing a whole weekend festival, and so we got a lot of crazy people. But we go in the bar, and it's a little more the restaurant, the bar section is a little more packed. Usually we go there, it's pretty dead because again, at the end of the night they're packed. You've got one guy in there with a big cowboy hat who's had a few extra spirits, if you will. And you can tell he's running the jukebox because every song coming through is a loud country song, loud, rowdy country song. And he is singing. He is just, he's having a good time. I'm not going to fault him. He's having a good time. But he's like, whoa, he's a little crazy. I mean, you're just playing, freaking Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy, Friends in Low Place, all this, the typical, party country cowboy songs, which are good songs. They're fun, but this guy's just taking them over the top. I think it freaked Chris out a little bit because it was very loud. He was coming up and high-fiving the table, college kids behind us, yeah. Which also submits, we're close to Franklin College. There's a lot of, college kids in this area too. This guy was not. He was older, but he was toasting them, and he was just all over dancing, telling them, "We're going to turn this place into a honky tonk." It's a little. It kind of threw Chris for a loop. It's kind of fun. But I told him, "See, Chris, this is an example of why you shouldn't drink, because there you go. Of course, he's also talked about it. If he drank it might make him, more mellow. I don't know." Be like opposite effect on him. Turn you. There we go. Anywho, so that was a fun night. We're done. We're in the car. We're warming up, and I think we're gonna wrap it there. So again, before I go, one more time, any other last thoughts about the movie? Anything you liked? Something that stuck out to you? Just anything in general?
The whole movie was just great.
Okay, all right. Well, there you have it. Chris loves it. You should love it. He said so earlier. You should love this movie. That's what Chris said. Yes. So, and my feelings, I absolutely freaking love. This is a favorite movie of mine. This is awesome. I love it. So yeah, that is it. So until next time, this is Chuck and
Chris,
and we will see you. As long as the eclipse doesn't wipe us out Monday on the other side.